So what we're going to be doing today is repairing this scale. So what happens is there's a button on the side here, and there's also a USB, micro USB port there as well. And water tends to get in there, especially with the scale, you know, sits in the bathroom, moisture and stuff like that, which corrodes the port. So I've removed the port, and I was intending to replace this. Apologies for the focus. But it just wasn't working, and I wanted something that was a little bit more of a better solution long term. So what I've ended up doing, I initially unsoldered this and then had to repair a few traces, which is now done, but I've decided to scrap this whole thing and then just do it differently. So what I've done is I've purchased these little ports here, which have like a breakout board, if you will, on the back end. And they also sit in a nice little housing here, which will go really good, and it fits perfectly in there. I picked them up on Amazon. They were pretty cheap. So what I'm going to do is the first step that I've done is I've gone through with the multimeter and I've tested where each one of the contacts go. The two pins or the two pads that are missing, they run to communication pins on the USB cable, which is not used in this case. I think all the programming is done through this here at the bottom, which is obviously never going to be done again because that was done at the factory. So I've worked out where all the pins go. I'll leave just a screenshot of that up now. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to chop that plug off there. The button's useless to me once it's already paired, but you can put in a button as well if you wanted to. It's quite simple. Again, it'll be in the pinout diagram that I've provided. And then, we're just going to solder them directly onto the back end of this here micro USB port, and then probably just either with epoxy or hot glue. I think hot glue is going to be the way to go, because if this happens again down the line and the port corrodes like the last three have done, I'll just be able to pull that one out and quite easily replace it and then just resolder it. So let's get started. So the first step, apologies for the camera work, is going to be to cut off the plug, which I was just about to do, and I've noticed that the last pin there is already corroded and the cable just fell right out of there. So that was nice and easy. I'm going to cut these off now, and I'm going to solder them directly onto here. The equipment that you're going to need obviously is a soldering station, or at least a soldering iron, some flux. I just picked this one up nice and cheap off the internet, off Temu I think it was, only a couple of dollars. Works fine for what I need. I'm not by any means a professional, just someone who enjoys doing this as a bit of a hobby. And then obviously just basic solder skills ready to go, and then we'll see how that pans out. Give me a second. Apologies for all the jump cuts. As I said, by no means a professional, just someone who likes to do this stuff as a bit of a hobby. So what I've done here is I've now uninsulated the three cables that I need. Again, I'm not going to hook up the button. You're welcome to do that. There is enough access and room for it, and the pins are clearly labeled already, so that's up to you. So I've got the port here ready to go. I've got the soldering station nicely heated up, just setting it at around about maybe 300 to 350 degrees. A little bit hard to see between this wide range. A fun fact, you can run this thing off USB-C with one of these little tiny breakout boards. So if we look at, oh my God, I do apologize for the glare there. So this little board here can negotiate certain voltages, and the voltages are there printed on the back, how you flick the switches. So I've done it for 20 volts, and unfortunately my connection's less than great. So what that basically is just sits in there with some contacts. I'm waiting on a battery adapter which converts, I think, a Milwaukee to a Ryobi, because the pins are quite easy to access. And then all I'm going to do is just solder them straight on. So I've got a battery pack that's universal through USB-C, which is great. So then, the little power station here, this thing will pump out 20 volts, 100 watts, nice and easy. And I have tested it on the soldering station, and sure enough, it does work. Gets it nice and warm. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to, apply some flux to this, tin these wires as well, and then I'm going to just drop them on. So I've already worked out what each pin is. I'll get started. Can't record it and solder at the same time. I've only got two hands, so I'll come back when it's done, and then we give it a test. It's all soldered up. There was a nice little bit of double-sided tape that they left here from factory, which was nice. So just peel that off, and it was able to hold the connector in place. That's now soldered nicely in, connected to the board. I've got a power bank, which has the micro USB cable. By the way, they're very hard to find now because they used to be a dime a dozen, but now nothing comes with them, and it's just relying on the hundreds that I initially collected. So plug that in. And would you look at that, we are finally charging again. This thing hasn't been charged in a while. Fantastic. So that's done. So I'm just going to snip these wires, or maybe just tuck them away somewhere. I'll hot glue the connector in on the other side. I might do a final shot of that, and then the thing is back up and running again. Nice and easy. quick shot of the final repair. So what I've done is, I did it wrong. We meant to put the sleeve over that and then push the port in. I forgot that, so I had to cut the top of it open to pass the cables through rather than unsolder everything. So what I've done is I've just plugged it in here and then just hot glued everything so it's nice and solid. It's not pretty, but it holds. I've tucked those cables away. Just because I don't need the button now doesn't mean I'm never going to need the button, so I've kept that there just in case I decide to put a button there later on down the track, if I need to change Wi-Fi or something like that. And then yeah, the next step is going to be just to plug that into the board up there, flip the whole thing back on, put it on top, drive in the 4 screws, which I've got just sitting over here, and obviously give it a clean, and then it's finished. So yeah, nice fun little project. Didn't take all that long, probably about half an hour start to finish. Got to try a little bit of soldering skills and refine sort of along that line as well. Yeah, thanks for watching.